Hi, we're on the couch at Fidelity, and my name is Mike DeLashman, and my guest today is Dennis Roedemeier. We have a great project to talk about today, and it's called the Osage Trail Legacy, and we're going to find out a little bit about Dennis and a lot about the project today. So thanks for being with me, Dennis.
Oh, Mike, it's a delight to be here with you. It always is fun to be with you.
Well, I know. We've known each other for a long time. That being said, you're about as old as this project is what I heard.
Well, I don't think I was back here in the 1700s, but I've been here for a while, and we've done a number of projects together. And this is our most recent one that we worked on, and I'm really happy to be here to talk about it. It's always fun to do a project like this.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, why don't we get to know you a little bit about you.
Sure.
And that being said, I guess I know you were raised in Bourbon area.
Bourbon, yeah.
The big city.
The big city of Bourbon. And also did quite a stint in St. Louis, but always migrated back. I always wanted to live in the Ozark area. I wanted to be in Crawford County. I just love this part of the world. My parents used to say it's just part of my DNA or something. I don't know. But came back to Bourbon, started my own business, was an entrepreneur for a number of years. And then we kind of fell upon a hard time in Cuba. Our unemployment rate back in the 80s, I think it was estimated it was up around 20%.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, it was startling. And they came and said, what are we going to do? And my first thought was, well, the best way to reverse this situation is bring in jobs and create jobs. And of course, if you watch TV, everybody who's running for president says they're going to create jobs. But we went after that, and Cuba had a pretty good level of success. And that's how we kind of turned that situation around and continued to do so. But then I was taken by a fine group here in Rolla, and I was able to run the State Innovation Center. I was here for a number of years and really had a wonderful time, had a wonderful staff, and worked with some great people at the university. Oh, yeah. A little known resource that we should use a lot more. And then I had a friend take me to Jefferson City by the name of Mel Carnahan, which our folks in Rolla certainly know and remember him. And then I stayed in Jeff City through the Holden administration, and then went back and finished up at Southeast Missouri State, which was a great opportunity. It was a different part of the world than Central Missouri.
Oh, yeah. It's flat down there.
It's flat, and they have dirt. I mean, it's amazing. So I spent 6 or 7 years down there, and finally got to the point where I could go back home and retire. And I did that. I did that about 5 years ago. And about that time, the Mayor Roedemeier, who was the mayor in the 80s and is still there, called and said, can you remember how we did this stuff in the 80s, and can we do some economic development work again? And I said, well, I don't know if we're as good as we were, but we probably can start and see what we can do. And we've just been blessed. I mean, that's all.
And you work with a lot of good people in the economic development. I mean, I know you work with the chamber. I know that you work with Sean Siebert.
Sean Siebert, yeah.
He does a lot of things.
One of the most wonderful people to work with. So creative, so good to be around. He is a real resource, and if you have a chance to meet that young man, I always kid that he always looks like he's in my confirmation class, but he's really is a PhD and quite a bright fellow. He's just
he doesn't
blessed.
look old enough, does he?
No, but he has great genes apparently, and I think Rolla was his home. Originally, but yeah, a great guy to work with. But Mike, I've always been very blessed to work with great people in the state of Missouri and the city of Cuba at Southeast Missouri State with President Ken Dobbins at that time. I believe he's retired now, but just a wonderful work career, and I've really enjoyed it, and I really enjoy what we're doing now.
Oh, I know. And I'm excited to talk about the project, and we're going to do that in just a minute. I do want to mention our sponsors that make this program possible for you today. Guaranteed Green, Guaranteed Christmas. Your business doesn't have to put up all those decorations. And right now I know that Renee Hale will come into your business, figure out what you need for Christmas, working with your budget. She takes care of it on a 100% deductible lease, makes it happen for you. So get a hold of Renee Hale at 573-201-8042. And Renee will take care of your office decor that way. And of course, Angie Parrott, Angie by Design, she is our social media consultant. She takes care of our Facebook, our YouTube. She takes care of, I mean, she's got Twitter and all these other things that I have absolutely no idea I know what they kind of are,
right?
But every time I see hashtag, I get freaked out.
Get scared.
So Angie takes care of all those kinds of things for us. So you give Angie a call by Design, 417-252-4454, and they make this possible for us. So Dennis, you've gone from small business entrepreneur, you've gone to helping other small businesses. You and I ran into each other several years ago
Right.
on one of those first classes.
We did.
In which we took, and a lot of the people have opened businesses and changed their businesses from that one class. And I know you're doing that. You know, you still have those things going on, a little bit different format maybe, or at least a different cost structure, because I think ours was by a grant or something. And now we are working on the Osage Trail Legacy. First of all, where's this going to be?
This is going to be located right at the exit of I-44 in Cuba on 19. As you would look off to the northeast, where the visitor center is located, this sculpture is going to be right on that corner.
And so I drove by there, and I saw two big sticks out in the thing. I'm guessing that's where it's going to be.
That's exactly
I couldn't
right.
figure out why there'd be two sticks there.
Right?
Yeah, big sticks. But tell me then, the sculpture, I was reading here, this is not just a little sculpture. This thing's huge. I was reading that it goes from 80 feet long,
Right.
35 feet up in the air. It's going to be a bronze sculpture. Why don't you describe a little bit about, there's 3 different elements in it. Let's talk about each one of those and what the significance is of that. And then I want to talk about what the Osage nation think
Right.
about this project.
Well, this project is really one part of 3 that we, as consultants, suggest communities do. Communities have difficulty. And, the old statement that if you've seen one Missouri community, well, that's about all you've seen is one Missouri community, because they're all so different. Well, the one thing they should have in common is entrepreneurship, and you were a part of that program. And as of today, we have graduated over 67 entrepreneurs and people that are reinventing their businesses. And what a delight! What fun to watch people change and become successful. And that's what we really drive for, is to teach people what to do and how to do it to be successful. Now, the second step is taking care of the businesses you have. So often we're inclined to go, well, we've had that factory for 20 years. Well, don't say that. You've only had that factory for a week, because things are going on within that factory, or that business, or that manufacturer, or that major employer, and you need to know. And so everybody says, well, we know that. No, it doesn't really sink in.
Right.
You really need to be on top. It's a scary thing for anyone who's in development is for someone in town to tell you someone's leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Panic.
Oh, cut you to the heart. So entrepreneurs taking care of existing businesses, and now we're going to talk about the third part. And I believe that every community should have a big project. And what do I mean by that? I mean a project that you name and call out and say, we're going to do this. And people in town go, that's impossible.
Right. Well, I'm sure the mural project was that way several years ago.
Exactly. Well,
And-
the treescape, I mean, the Adopt a Highway, the very first Adopt a Highway, was greeted when we proposed it as, no, you're not. You're not allowed to do that. And this is the highway department. Well, yes, we can. We can do
Yeah, right.
these kinds of things. And now Adopt a Highway's kind of taken off in that area. And also with the murals. There were a lot of naysayers who said, oh, the so-and-so is going to happen and this won't work. But the murals are there. They're
and
beautiful.
They bring folks in just to see the murals. And while they're there, of course, then, well, we're hungry, we're going to eat lunch. Let's go take a look and buy some
Right.
shoes. Let's
Right.
let's see what this business has or what that one has. And the next thing you know, there's a real ripple effect because you've brought people off the interstate into the community or communities to see some of these things going on. I mean, you go out to Fan, and there's
Yeah.
a big rocking chair. Hey, but
Right,
but
right.
there probably wouldn't have been a big rocking chair had there not been murals, because there would be no reason for people to. You've already got them stopped in Cuba. Now you can go ahead and have them go down to the rocking chair on their way back out of town. So they kind of work together. And this project then, I guess, for lack of a better word, piggybacks then on those other three projects: the roadway, the murals, things like the rocking chair, and some of the other things that are going on in town there, some of the major events that they have. And then this project, which has been blessed by the Osage
Yes,
Indian
yes.
tribe. And I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is. Why don't you tell me what the big deal is?
Well, here is the story of our Osage Trail tribute. The Osage Trail, the main trail, came right down I-44. We used to refer to that romantically as Route 66, and before that it was the Springfield Road. But that's significant. And why is that significant? Well, someone would say, well, yeah, they carried furs and the iron ore, and they brought merchandise back, blankets and things like that. Yeah, that's true. But that's not the real point. The
Okay.
real point is this. They brought back ideas. They brought back technology. They brought back the makings of a new republic with what is in the minds and in the education of the people. And how ironic that we still have, to me, one of the finest universities in this state, right here on I-44, the Osage Trail. So that was a very big issue that we need to, as Missourians, understand and embrace the significance of that. But then you ask the question, well, who were these people? Why do we have their trail? Well,
And we're talking about the Osage Indians.
the Osage Indians, the largest tribe in Missouri, estimated 6,000 to 7,000 people. It's pretty hard to get accurate head counts back in the 1700s, but they were very big.
That's what I understand when we say big. We're not talking about just big as far as 6 to 7. We're talking about the people themselves. The Osage tribe were 7-foot tall Indians.
Right, right.
Men and women that were
unbelievably
tall.
big. And I had a chance to visit one of the state parks where they had a mock-up, a drawing of one of the Osage chiefs. And he was his life size. I was staring at the emblem of his necklace when I was facing forward. He was that much taller than I was, and that was his actual height. So if you could only imagine.
Putting a headdress of some sort on top of that.
Right, right. And,
Wow.
And then you read the writings of that era, how fierce, that they were the most feared Indian tribe in the area. They would defend their family. They would defend their territory to the death. They had no fear. In fact, they believed that there was great honor in dying in battle. They did not want to die outside of battle. They believed that that was the highest and best death that you could achieve. But that also led to their demise. They could not get along with anyone.
Yes.
They couldn't get along with any other tribes, but the only initiative that they could choose was to conquer them in mass with more people. But the real problem for this nation was us. It was the government. It was us wanting to take what they had, and we did. From 1807, 1808 until 1825, we literally took their land and their homes away and forced them out of our state. Now, negotiating with the Osage Nation to put up a tribute or a legacy to them was kind of interesting, because all I had to say was, "Hi, this is Dennis Roedemeier, and I'm calling from Missouri," and there was just kind of dead silence.
At least you didn't get the click on the phone, right?
Well, there are certain places we can go that the word Missouri is not necessarily well received. But in this case, we were able, over the last year, and that's how long this has taken, to work our way through issues. It took a lot to understand their culture. It took a lot to understand the meaning of time. Their issues and their meaning of time is different than mine, probably different than most of us. They're very thoughtful. They give much consideration to this sculpture. And Glenn Tutterow and his son Curtis are the sculptors. And they have done a wonderful job. And I would invite anybody to come to the visitor center and see the clay model that, as you have seen, to appreciate what this is going to be and what it's going to look like. But this is our way of commemorating the Osage people in the Osage Nation, who are the original people of this area. So yeah, it is I feel a worthy challenge to reach back in time and to gather back and to see what we can find and what we can understand. And so we are now in the act of receiving artifacts from families, not from museums and not from other tribes and not from the state, but people who have just put things in the barn or found arrowheads, or they found pottery, or they found this, or they found that. Suddenly it's starting to bubble up through our communities, and I really am grateful for that, because now we can research and find out exactly where this came from and what it was used for. And that effort is being put together by the Crawford County Historical Foundation, who's doing that work. So I want to give them a little...
And tied in with this then probably will be some displays that would be inside as well as the big statues outside.
We hope that
at some point anyway.
Exactly. This is going to be a 2-year project, but the fun of that is that all of us can watch it happen together.
Right.
We are going to display the materials that we find. We are going to have a center with the Historical Foundation, an educational center on the Osage Indians and the American Indians of our region. I am not trying to make light of the Trail of Tears and the Cherokee issue of the 1830s. It's a different issue. And somebody says, well, are you going to roll those together? Not in your life.
No, because this is a highlight of focusing on one tribe, the Osage Indians, and why they left Missouri, where they went, but then to highlight their legacy that they've left behind and some of the cultural things that we still enjoy today, some of the places, some of the folklore that we get to enjoy today. I think of Camp Mahaska, for example, and how that came to be and where it came from, and I know you shared with me the chief and how the names got there, and yet people know a little bit about that. They know a little bit about the heritage of some of the names of places, but yet we don't know all of the full story. No. So it's pretty interesting. When we get back, I do want to discuss specifically the statues themselves, what they're going to look like, and then the timeline, because I think people are, sometimes people think, oh, it's pie in the sky, this is a great thing, yeah, one of these days you'll get it, and kind of like Crazy Horse, yeah, in 20 years you're going to get to see something that starts to look like a horse.
Right, exactly.
The timeline on this, I'm going to tease you because you will not believe how soon this is happening and is going to be completed. So with that, again, I just want to thank our sponsors today, Renee Hale with Guaranteed Green and Plantscaping and Guaranteed Christmas. Get a hold of Renee, 573-201-8042. Let her fix your office up, your business up. And then Angie Parrott with By Design. She does such a great job on social media consultant. I think there's a new official word for that. I forgot what it is, but that's what I call her, and she takes care of all those things that I don't know how to take care of. So with that, be sure to give both of them a call. Angie at 417-252-4454. Give them a shout.